Sunday, the Rams come into the Caesar Superdome to take on the Saints in Week 13 NFL action. Huge game for both teams because it has playoff implications. A big game for the Saints because we have some coaches and some players who are making their case that they still want to be a part of this team in 2025. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So, big game on Sunday at 3 o'clock. You had the bye week. So, previous two games was the Rizzi effect of replacing DA and finally moving on from the coach we needed to move on from. Putting in a coach who's re-energized the team, shot of adrenaline for at least 2 weeks, had the bye. This is going to be a big test. Let's see what it looks like coming out against a team that on paper doesn't look as good as they probably actually are. It's going to be a very dangerous team. We're going to talk about all that. And it kind of really starts, I think the most important matchup you're going to be looking at is our offense against their defense right off the bat, because Rams roll in with about the 26th overall defense in the NFL, which is statistically still better than ours, and we'll get to that in a second. But it's a defense that's given up 300 on average, 362, 363 yards per game, 218 through the air, about 144 on the ground. That's all numbers our offense can match. They're giving up about 25 points a game. When you're looking at our offense right now, we're still hanging around about 11th overall in the league. 347 total, pretty close to what they're giving up. 216 passing, almost dead on the nails. 130 rushing. We got some room there to catch up to them, and we're going to have to, I believe, if we want to win this game, is come a lot closer to what they're giving up in the rushing game per week. And scoring a 23.8, about 24 points a game. So you kind of right in there where you need to be, but you're going to have to exceed that. You're going to have to do better what you've been doing. You're probably going to have to come in above what they're giving up. But I think the offense has a chance to do it. You look at the Rams defense. I'm going to call it no-name defense, which is, again, not the great Miami no-name defense of the 70s. I don't mean it that way, and I don't mean it disparaging in their players, but just in the sense, for years, Aaron Donald was the man, if not in the whole entire NFL on defense, arguably, definitely on that team. Well, he retired. He's not there anymore. And when you look at the defensive line, it's impossible to replace Aaron Donald, right? Right. But they brought in a group of guys who, while one guy may not be the man, they get pretty consistent production across the board. They can roll out a bunch of guys at you that can make plays. On the interior, they've got 11 total sacks. The rookie Fiske has 6. Turner, a second-year guy, has 5. You start looking at their edge players. A young guy, Bryan Young, second to third year in the league, is leading them on the edge with 6 sacks. Their rookie, Jared Verse, first-round pick, 4.5 sacks. Heck, one of their backup edge players is grabbing 3. They get a couple out of their secondary, like Quentin Lake and a few here and there, but primarily the pressure and the sacks are coming from all across that defensive line. All of them are capable of doing it. They forced 6 fumbles and recovered 4 of them, so they can create some turnovers up there too. Start getting into the mid-level and the linebackers, that's where it gets interesting, because the guy everybody thought was going to be their next best or their new best defensive player, Ernest Jones, the linebacker who played very well for him the last couple of years, they moved on from him. I don't remember if they traded him or cut him, but a few weeks into the season, he wasn't there anymore. He wound up on Tennessee, and I think now he's with Seattle. Replaced him with a guy named Roseboom, who's 91 total tackles on the year, and it's about 40-something solo, about 40-something assists. He's a very active guy running around there making tackles, and 3 of them are for loss, but he's not really a big play guy. He's got an interception on the year, no fumbles forced or recovered, no sacks. I don't remember seeing any pass defended from him. So he's back there to make tackles. He's not necessarily back there to make big plays coming out of that position. that's helpful. So if you can operate in that area of the field, especially if you can get him downfield a little bit, where when he's making his tackles 4, 5, 6, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, that would be wonderful. They get a little Reader and Spates do play, backing them up. She got about 70 total tackles from them. They're not, and they don't play a lot of snaps. They do get some, so no turnovers from them either. So that mid level, as far as their linebackers are concerned, not too scary. But you want to be able to find some space there and operate, because it doesn't seem like they're going to make a whole bunch of big plays out of there. Get to their safeties. Top two guys, Quentin Lake and Cameron Curl. And Cameron Curl was a free agent who spent a couple of good years in Washington. And then when they had their purge last year, he was one of them to go. The Rams signed him in free agency. And they're kind of mostly tackle guys themselves. Lake does have 2 sacks on the year, so they will send him every now and then. And Curl's forced and recover a fumble, so he's got at least one big play in there. But for the most part, not a lot different than the linebacking core. Till you get to their rookies. They've got 2 rookies back there. Cam Kinchins, 3 interceptions and a forced fumble on limited snaps. He does not a full-time guy. And Jalen McCollum, who actually not a full-time guy on limited snaps, but most of those snaps are from the linebacker position. He's got 4 interceptions. He actually leads the team. So when he's lined up in the linebacker, we need to be aware of it. And I'm sure that's been pointed out, because that's the guy that they're going to kind of sneak in that mid-level to try to go make some plays. And you got Kinchins operating on the back end or sometimes in the box. So you got to keep your eye on him. They seem to be the 2 big play guys that they can really get some momentum swings. And the way this defense kind of shakes out is they're relying on some big plays to happen, and they can find them here and there, and they can use multiple players to get to them. But that kind of seems to be if you can stay away from that, you have a lot of opportunity to move the ball up and down the field on them, and a lot of opportunity to score points. I think that has to be the recipe that the Saints are going to go into this game with, especially Alvin, especially Taysom. Clint Kubiak did mention during the week that whether it's the running game, the passing game with MVS or Moreau or Juwan Johnson, whoever can, the hot hand, it can find some space and make some plays, is kind of who's going to be their go-to guy this week. So hopefully we can get multiple of those guys in space and making some big plays. You flip it around to the other side. Rams offense against Saints defense. There's some interesting looks there. So offensively, the Rams about 17th overall in the NFL, packing up about 332 yards a game, 236 through the air, about 95 through the ground, on the ground rather, about 21 points a game. Ground's a little deceiving what they can and can't do there with Kyren Williams. What they can do is early in the year when they were kind of going through the same thing we were going through, they had some offensive line injuries. They were down their top 2 receivers in Nacua and Kupp. They rode Kyren Williams hard, and he was having some monster games. I think since they got the 2 studs back for Stafford to throw the ball to, that maybe shifted a little bit, but I found it surprising they were still under 100 yards rushing a game. Saints defensively, we're at least not last anymore. We've somehow climbed up to 31, because I'm pretty sure we were 32 overall in defense last week. Giving up about 390, almost 391 a game in total yards, 256 through the air, 134 on the ground. Get up 23.6, about 24 points a game. So when you're looking at the stats, both offenses against the other team's defense and vice versa, a lot of numbers are really close to each other, kind of implying that this is going to be a close game. Could be, but here's what you really need to understand what's going on here. Sean McVay, and we've talked about this channel a lot, how good he is about scheming guys open and getting balls to playmakers, and he's got a ton of them like he normally does. And Matthew Stafford he's like another coach on the field. He's like the offensive coordinator on the field. If you want to point a reference, he was a lot like Drew was doing when we had him, because Drew was understanding Sean's offense so well. He had guys to distribute the ball to and knew how to do it. Well, same thing with Stafford. And he can get out of a bad play and get you into a good one at the line of scrimmage to make things worse. So when that offense is clicking on all cylinders and they're reloading, they're getting everything back, that they sorry about that, but he's about ready to jump on the computer. Um when they're getting close to that level, and it looks like they're starting to get close to that level, they're very, very dangerous. They're going to hit some big plays, and God knows our defense likes to give up some big plays. They can jump on you quick, and we can't allow that, because if they jump on us quick like they did last year when we went up to LA and got spanked, it could be making for a long day for us. You still got to worry about Williams. He's got almost 1,000 total yards and 11 total touchdowns on the year, but honestly, 822 of the yards on the ground, and 9 of those touchdowns were rushing. So it's primarily how they're going to use him, but you can't let him sneak out of that backfield, because they will flip him the ball and he can go make a play downfield. Blake Corum looks like the guy that's going to be backing him up, but for the most part, Williams is their guy out in the backfield. And it's really about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua getting schemed wide open, and Stafford realizing before the ball snapped who it's going to be and where he's going to be, and throwing him the ball. And they're both rather big, rather physical, with good speed receivers. So when they get the ball in space, and as Joe Wood said during the week, it's going to happen at some point. You want to cover him and defend him as well as you can and try to shut a bunch of that stuff down. But almost importantly is when it does happen, you got to have somebody there, and whoever's there cannot miss a tackle. You got to get them on the ground. That's kind of been our issues on the defensive side. We've cleaned them up a little bit. They need to keep getting better. But even outside of those two, you got to remember they got a speedster and T2 Atwell floating around out there. They got Robinson, who had a little DUI issue during the week. Don't know if he's coming to New Orleans and playing or not. But throw him in the mix. He can make some plays. Even if they don't, they still got the rookie Whittington, who's done well at times this year. Tight end Parkinson's a veteran guy. Got him involved in the passing game when they've used him. Higbee, their normal tight end, he's been a little banged up, but it looks like he might be around to play on Sunday. And they definitely know how to get him the ball. So look, it's a lot going on when you're playing this offense. A lot you have to deal with. McKinstry's going to have to grow up. He's played pretty well, but I don't think he's seen anything like this. What he's going to see on Sunday. He's got to be ready to go and hang in there. Alontae Taylor, Rams game last year was the one where he got benched. They had him so spun up and twisted around. Now, Joe Woods did say during the week that a lot of what Atlanta 3 weeks ago was trying to do at Taylor was similar, if not identical, to what the Rams were doing last year against him. And he hung in there. Woods is like, he's still got to get better and more consistent, but it was a lot better in that Atlanta game than it was last year in Los Angeles. Marty's going to have to step up in the slot corner, because that's where Taylor was playing when all these sets and route combinations and all were spinning him around. Marty's got to be ready to go. Our safeties are going to be asked to cover at times. They got to cover when they do, because the Rams just at times could force everybody in the secondary to have to cover, where nobody gets to sit back and play free. So they got to cover, but more importantly, the safeties have to clean up those situations where somebody breaks open or makes a play. Got to get over there, get the angle, and get them on the ground. If we don't do that, it's going to be a long, painful day. Now, I'm pretty sure Joe Woods and the rest of the defensive coaches are pounding that in their heads right now. But that's the thing that you're going to have to do to keep them from just popping those huge plays that we've been giving up. And they're more than capable of doing it all game long if you let them. Now, real quick, we're roll through the injury report, but I honestly don't think it's actually all that relevant. It looks like both teams, after having some injury problems here and there, are getting healthier. I don't think there's anybody really on this list that's not in danger of not playing unless something happens between now and the final injury report won't be out till Friday, but between now and Sunday, I think the really only impact here is Eric McCoy going to play? That seems to still be a little questionable. It sounded like we were getting good news during the week, but he hasn't officially practiced. Don't know what's really going on. They might just be taking it easy and being careful with him. Don't really know. But if he doesn't play, I think he's really the one guy on this list that, other than having Stan, their offensive lineman, as a tackle, I think he's missed some times or been a little banged up, but it looks like he's good to go. But they're really the two guys I think on this list that they don't play. Their respective teams are going to miss them big time. But if they're on the field, then everything's going to look a lot better. So we'll know for sure. Probably not till Sunday because, like I said, there's always that possibility of a late change, even after the official report comes out on Friday, where all of a sudden somebody's not going to be active, or somebody like in McCoy's case, who's been limited, and they have listed as questionable or doubtful. You find out that he actually plays, although that's the one I'm worried about. And while we're on injury, just to kind of tie this in, because I want to give a huge shout out to Nephi Sewell, who was voted the Saints Ed Block Courage Award winner, which is basically an award given out by the NFL to each team. So you have 32 winners. The team gets to vote on the player that showed the most courage in overcoming adversity. Nephi Sewell won it. Can't think of a better guy to win it. If you're familiar with his story, he's just a fantastic young man. And less than 11 months ago, December, January, forget when he did it, on the field, blew his knee out badly, and he was back on the field playing in the Cleveland game. Outstanding job of courage and overcoming adversity. And I encourage everybody, Wednesday afternoon after practice, when he found out he won the award, they interviewed him. The media did. He gave a good 11 minute long interview where one of the things he dropped, and I don't think I certainly didn't know this till I watched it, but I don't think the media around really knew either. It's the second time that he's had a devastating injury that he's come back from within a year. First time was when he was a junior in high school. He had a serious neck injury that required surgery, and he came back and was able to play his senior year. It's just type of young man that he is. I think this is a really good guy to have in your team. A lot of special team play. And so give me a thumbs up on this one, because I think he definitely, and I think everybody listening to this should give me a thumbs up on this one. It's a good young man. He's solid. Watch the interview. He even starts talking about his family and his kids, and it's real touching. He's that good of a guy, but he's he deserves to win this award. He's a very good example of somebody about fighting hard and overcoming adversity and having the courage to do it. And he's done it twice in his life. So big thumbs up for Nephi. Personally, I'm hoping even more he makes a big special teams play Sunday to help us win the game, because I absolutely deserves it. So definitely wanted to give him a shout out and some recognition for that award that he won earlier in the week. And I think in conclusion, it's to wrap this up, it's relatively simple. That, I mean, we talked about it. Offensively, the Saints have to control the ball. You can't give it up. Got to control the line of scrimmage. You cannot fall behind the chains. You got to stay on schedule. No second and longs, no third and longs, none of that stuff. You control the clock while you're doing it, that's fine. But when a big play presents itself, you got to hit it. You got to make the big play, because they're going to be doing the same thing to you on the other side, pretty much along the same lines. Defensively, again, limit their big plays as much as you can. Eliminating them altogether would be incredibly awesome, but maybe too much to ask. Like we said, the secondary's got to play really well and be on schedule and know what's going on not leave guys open. But when they are, somebody's got to run over there and clean it up and make the tackle. In the front, the defensive front, looks like that Rams offensive line is finally fully healthy after some injury problems during the year. When they're fully healthy, they're pretty good. So we're going to have to, we went weeks where our pressure and sack rate and everything else was non-existent. Last 2 weeks, it's gotten better. It's going to have to be really good this game because you cannot give Stafford and that receiving core eternities without bringing pressure, because if not, they are going to shred you and hurt you and put up a lot of points on the board. Biggest thing is tackle. Got to tackle. We've cleaned up our missed tackle rate a lot the last few weeks. It needs to keep getting better. And if it goes anywhere near where it had been during that losing streak, forget about it, boys. You're not going to beat the Rams if you allow that to happen. I think we've been doing a good job of winning special teams. Even during the losing streak, we had games where we were winning special teams. Keep doing that. I have a feeling Rizzy's on board with that, and we are going to keep winning the special teams battle. In winning the fourth quarter, the most important thing you can do to win the fourth quarter is not get blown out in the first quarter, like we did last year when we went to LA and they just dropped so much hurt on us early in that game. We were out of it, never really could come back. You got to avoid that. Keep it close so you can win the fourth quarter. We've done a fantastic job in at least 2 weeks to suddenly figuring out ways to win one-score games, when in the previous 2.5, 3 years, we found ways to lose one-score games, whether we were up or down. And that was one of our biggest issues. Hopefully got that fixed. But you got to play the 3 quarters in front of it this time to make sure you get to that fourth quarter if you got the juice to win it and take the game from them. Ideal world, we jump all over them in the first quarter and let them play one-dimensional catch-up football the rest of the way, but we'll see. So all I got for you today, except for one more thing, because pretty sure I'm trying to finish this up Thanksgiving Day, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone. But it probably won't be ready to go to Friday morning, which will be good because this will already have started at 12:01 Black Friday morning till 11:59 p.m. Cyber Monday, and those are Central Standard Times. Black and Gold's having a thank you discount on our Black and Gold Network online store at myshopify.com. There's the link. And it's an automatic 15% discount at checkout. So you buying anything, buying Christmas presents, getting to be that time of year. When you hit checkout, whatever your total is, system's going to automatically discount at 15%. As a big thank you from the channel to all of y'all for y'all's support. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So thank you on a big Christmas shopping weekend, because we all know that's what's coming around the corner after today. So as far as Sunday, we will have a live post game. It's 3:00 start. I'll know by Saturday. I probably am not going to the game, but just in case the ticket opens up and I go, I'll know Saturday. So this is what I'm planning on. If I'm at home watching the game on TV, I'm going to try to do a post game almost immediately following the conclusion of the game. If I'm actually at the game, then it'll be closer to our 8:30, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time start Sunday night. So if you're new here, give me the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, hit the notification. If you're already subscribed and you didn't hit the notification, you might want to go ahead and do it, because Saturday at some point I will post the start time for the Sunday live show. So that'll be the next time I see you. And until then, peace out. Who dat?